All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of Texans Unfiltered. This one's a little different. This one's a little live. It's kind of lit in here, not going to lie. We have a good group of fellas, people that you don't normally see. Why? Because, well, it's Monday at 5:45, and the only people who are down are the people that are dedicated, like Giovanni, like Ruben, like Patrick Storm. What is up, fellas? So for everybody that has been living under a rock, doesn't have Twitter notifications turned on, doesn't log into Facebook ever, doesn't have ESPN notifications, whatever it may be, your head coach, Bill O'Brien from the Houston Texans, has now been relieved of his duties. We are moving on from the Bill O'Brien era after an 0-4 start. This team, Team, I think is how he spelled it, is now no longer Bill O'Brien's team. This team is now, well, we'll get into who it is later because it's kind of bothersome why Jack Easterby is still here. But Patrick Storm, you hit the slack with a little disrespect saying you knew last night.
Sorry.
What if, that's okay. What if I told you at 4:45 yesterday I knew and I didn't tell anybody?
I wouldn't hate you. I wouldn't be mad.
Everybody else would. How thoughts, Pat? What are your thoughts before we get into everybody else?
So it's not shocking, right? Like you're 0-4. This is your second time in your career you've started off 0-3. You have the highest paid salary or highest paid roster in the NFL currently, and you're 0-4. You're last in the league in rushing. You are last in the league in run defense. I mean, it's abysmal. Like it was just absolutely. I put out a tweet yesterday that said this is absolutely the worst performance I've ever seen from a Texans team, right? And a lot of people came back with, the 30-0 or the Chiefs in the playoffs or this and that. Like, no, like collectively, this was bad. Like they had given up. The players had legitimately given up, and it started back in week 2. It started at practice in week 2. They gave up on him. There was on the field confrontations between him and players. If you scroll through Twitter right now and look at some of the guys that have been sent away from this team and guys that are currently on this team and go look at what they're liking, it's evident that he had lost this locker room here recently. And it was only a matter of time. Like it was the snowball effect. And like, I wanted to have this as a topic or the title of an episode here was the Houston snowball, right? It started off so small. And when Rick was gone, that was the start of it. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And every move he made, everything that he was a part of, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And the problems kept getting larger and larger and harder to overcome. And it was just time. Like Cal McNair had enough. And I mean, this is probably, for a lot of fans, this is the happiest day that they can remember as far as being a fan besides the day Deshaun Watson got drafted. So.
Yeah. Look, I'll say this before I hand it over to Ruben. Bill O'Brien, to me, what he means to me as a person is a lot deeper than what he means to a lot of other people. I emailed him out of the blue 3 years ago, asked him to come on the podcast, and he did. He didn't have to do that. At that time, we were a tiny little podcast. We barely had anything going on. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have a website. We were just we were literally just somebody that uploaded our commentary and our thoughts, and he responded after an email and said that he'd be more than happy to, and came on and gave me 20 minutes. And that's something that, good people do. So, as much as we hate Bill O'Brien, the head coach, Bill O'Brien, the general manager, Bill O'Brien, the person, has never really been in question who he is as a person, what he's done. But at the same time, as a head football coach, he has been abysmal, specifically since, Deshaun Watson came here. I think that's really, for me, where it really started. He outperformed with Brock Osweiler, Brian Hoyer, Ryan Mallett, all the quarterbacks that we had, he outperformed. And I don't know if another coach could have done what he did with those guys. But once he got a quarterback, he handicapped him. He didn't build the offense around him. He didn't put him in a position to succeed. We've seen Deshaun take a step back, and it's not because Deshaun is not a great quarterback. It's because Deshaun does not have things around him that he needs to be able to be successful. Play calling specifically. I won't talk about the roster because I do think the roster is talented on offense. It is not the roster that we're used to. It's not without D-Hop. I understand. Well, I don't want to talk about D-Hop today. I don't want to talk about what could have been because at the end of the day, like really now it doesn't matter. Like sure, we could have, but DeAndre's gone. He's not coming back. This offense has enough talent to be successful. And that to me is, at least the most assuring thing, feeling good. What will we see moving forward? I don't know. But anyways, Bill O'Brien, the person, to me, he means a ton to me personally. But the coach, he fell short. Ruben, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, it's been a long time coming, fellas. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Hey, real quick. Take off your hat, please. What happened? What happened there?
Bill O'Brien happened against the Steelers. I put a bet that said if the Texans lose to the Steelers, I have to shave my head. And God damn it, they lost.
Yeah, they did.
So let me tell you, this is a great day. This is a great day. I was at work and then I find out the news. I'm like, no, oh my God. And it was coming. When you put your nuts on the table and tell Cal McNair, I want to be the owner, I want to be the GM, I want to be the OC, I want to control the salary cap. I'm basically almost the owner myself. There's nobody to blame but you. There is no Rick Smith to blame. There's no Brian Game to blame. The person to blame is Bill O'Brien. And it's just he's been here for 7 years. I was in high school when the dude got hired. Like I'm now in college, and it's just like we haven't gotten any better. Actually, we look a little worse. Like I agreed with Patrick Storm. The game was horrible. I saw everybody just no emotion, and it was just evidently it was just time for a change. And now the Houston Texans are not only looking for a head coach, they're now looking for a GM, and it's just to me, I'm excited because now I have something to look forward to.
So let me say this: we are not looking for a GM, in my opinion. I think Jack Easterby is the guy. I hope not. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong. But I do think that Jack Easterby is likely the snake that one got Bill O'Brien fired, and two is making a power play to take over the organization himself. He's always been a fiend for power. He's a snake, man. He really is. There's nothing else about it. And I don't know if this organization is in a better position with Bill O'Brien gone and Jack Easterby at the helm, or if we're better with Bill O'Brien and Jack Easterby here. But I can tell you, at least Bill O'Brien's gone. Let's see what happens with Jack Easterby and what he brings, because it's going to be extremely interesting. All right, Giovanni, thoughts? Bill O'Brien's gone. You've been around, for those that don't know who you are, you've been one of our bigger supporters for the longest time. You've been around forever. You've always supported us. Now you're doing some intern stuff and helping us do some things that we need to do. You heard the Bill O'Brien interview, so what does this mean for Texans fans?
It's a sign of relief. It's we can breathe now. We're no longer like having to like holding our breath and just see and hope what the Texans are going to do or what they can and cannot do. I'm just full of joy. It's a bunch of happiness that's going through me right now. I don't know. I just with what you just said about Jack Easterby being a snake and everything, that leaves me a little skeptical of what's going to happen with the organization now. Are they going to bring in Josh McDaniels? What are the options at coaches? And then if Jack Easterby is the GM, then should we hit the panic button?
Go ahead, Pat.
The coaching search is going to be, you're going to have a million names thrown out over the next 13 to 14 weeks, right? You've already got NFL Network throwing Adam Gase's name in, and he hasn't even been fired from New York yet. Okay, so that's the thing. It's like you got to kind of like you're going to have to take everything with a grain of salt over the next few weeks, because everybody's name is going to get thrown around. Eric Bieniemy's name is already getting thrown around. Greg Roman's name is already getting thrown in. Brian Dabble. Like, you've got so many names that are going to come up in the next few weeks from all these, from anyone, from Ian, from Schefter, Aaron Wilson, John McClain. Like, all these guys are going to have these names that they're going to bring up, right? Jack is going to be a part of that search. And that part scares the hell out of me, because Jack Easterby and Josh McDaniels have the same agent. Okay. Nick Caserio, who they wanted to be the GM before last season and the year before when they got in trouble for the tampering with the Patriots, could still potentially be a GM candidate, because he is not technically the GM in New England. He does not hold that title. So unless they did his extension with the same language that they had before, preventing him from taking an interview for a higher position without their approval, he very well could be in play for the GM position. And Josh McDaniels could be in play for the head coaching position. And that scares the crap out of me. I'm tired of the stuff from New England coming here. And I get it. It's been one, right? It's been one guy from New England that came in and he was so stuck in his ways and so hard-headed that he couldn't get out of his own way. And, I just put out the tweet right now, and James, you were a part of the conversation. We've had players tell us they never doubted his desire to win, but they also described him as in over his head and flustered at times. And it just, he was out of his element. I don't think that, it was time. And so now you've got the coaching search is going to start. Dabo's name is going to get thrown around, obviously, because of the connection with Deshaun. Brent Venables' name will get thrown around just because of, his time with Dabo and with Deshaun. There's going to be, we won't know until, 13 weeks from now.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Quincy Avery already tweeted out never on Dabo. So I can tell you, and if Quincy's saying it, then that means it's not happening. Dabo is not a guy I want either. Him and Jack Easterby would probably have a great Sunday brunch. But outside of that, I don't know what it would look like. Easterby, look, he may be a snake. He might be, a backstabber. But at the same time, we don't know what he can do regarding football, I guess, ultimately. But at the end of the day, if you look at some of the moves that were made, he was here for those. Mm-hmm. He was here for DeAndre Hopkins. He was here for Whitney Merciless. He was here for everything that we've done so far in the last year and a half that have been a part of what we've had issues with. So
he was instrumental in the Brandon Cooks trade.
Correct.
100%.
100%. I mean, they have a relationship. They've had a relationship. Brandon Cooks has documented it multiple times how important he is. Caserio, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind as a general manager. I've always been a fan of Caserio. Great talent, great scout. He knows what he's doing. But at the end of the day, I would like to get away from the Patriots tree, but with Easterby being here, I don't believe that'll be the case. I do think it'll likely be a package situation where Josh McDaniels and Nick Caserio and, other people will likely be coming to this team. You'll hear a lot of names over the next couple of weeks. The best part about being able to be the first team to fire your head coach is that you have a head start on the search for a head coach. Mm-hmm. And that's why you make this decision now. And it's the right thing to do. You don't want anybody to lose their job. Anybody who has a family, anybody who has kids understands the impact, especially somebody like Bill O'Brien who has, special needs kid, and Jack who does, that's we don't know how much money it is and all of that, but he needs a ton of attention. So, it sucks to watch it, but at the end of the day, this team got a lot better today. What are we gonna see moving forward though, Ruben? I mean, are we gonna see? Have we seen Tim Kelly call plays yet? Will this be the first time we've seen Tim Kelly call plays? Will the offense look different?
I mean, you would hope so. I mean, if I'm Tim Kelly, I have a huge sign of relief. I now maybe feel like I could potentially call this offense the way I want to call it. But, the first 4 weeks did look a little rough. But then again, that begs the question, was it him? Was it O'Brien? This team is going to come out on Sunday you're going to see him happy. You're going to see him smiling. You're going to see him want to play football because, these first 4 weeks, they looked absolutely miserable. Nobody was really smiling on the sideline. Everybody, you saw Deshaun Watson with the towel in his head, didn't look like he wanted to talk to anybody. We've seen cases where teams who fire their head coach, they win. The Dolphins won a couple years ago when they fired their head coach. So, the Jags did it as well. We're going to see a Houston Texans team who's going to want to have fun, because they haven't looked like it at all. I'm just excited, man.
Yeah, I think, I think it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of interesting people out there that could take this job. But if you look at the remainder of the season, there's also a lot on the line for the coordinators.
Yep.
There's a lot on the line for Anthony Weaver. There's a lot on the line with Tim Kelly. They now have the freedom to do what they need to do to be successful coordinators. And that's what you're looking for, right? The biggest issue we've all had with Bill O'Brien is the fact he doesn't delegate. He is, he all kind of manages everything his own way, handles everything, whatever, takes it all on, doesn't really give any responsibility to anybody else. Now, we expect to see new things, come Sunday. It's not, it's going to be very hard to implement a completely different offense, but you should be able to see some things. I would expect to see a lot of what we saw from Deshaun his rookie year, because that stuff's a lot easier to implement. But when you look at this team Sunday, what are you expecting, Giovanni?
I expect them to be the same way what Mr. 713 said. Excited, happy. Here's another one. No more running on first down. Straight up the gut. Thank you, God.
Now, and so I'm sorry, I'm not going to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Pat. Go ahead.
I know that was one thing that earlier, so far for the first 4 weeks, that passing on early downs, first and second down, has become like a bigger thing for them. They've been doing it more, but the running up the A and B gap with David Johnson still just baffles the hell out of me.
Yeah, I don't really understand it. I'm hoping to see a little bit of a different run game. It's not fair to David what we've seen so far. There's really nothing. I mean, even the commentators on Sunday were just bashing Bill O'Brien. I mean, there was literally nowhere for him to run. I mean, it can't. And as soon as the game started, they started to go at Bill O'Brien. So you have to think that there's a good chance that we're going to change some of that up. I mean, I guess looking forward to kind of wrap this up and put a bow on it. Is the season over? I'm going to ask all three of you guys. Is the season over? 0-4. Is there a chance that we sneak into the playoffs, Patrick Storm?
There's an outside shot, obviously, because they haven't played a division game yet. That starts this week. The playoffs are expanded this year. So there is that chance that they could sneak in. And we've seen it time and time again when a head coach gets fired, that lights a fire and that spark, especially under a team of this caliber. This team is way too talented to be 0-4. There's way too much talent on this team to be 0-4. Regardless of what they're paying, right? Like, we've seen tremendous improvement in some areas. Look at Laramie Tunsil. He has zero outside of that one in week 1 that was Titus that jumped first, that got charged to Laramie. Laramie has 0 false starts. He has 0 holding penalties. He has completely changed his game this season, right? Deshaun Watson, I know the wide receivers haven't been doing great, but Will Fuller he's been pretty freaking good so far, right? He's had 2 games over 100 yards. He's got a couple touchdowns. We know what David Johnson is capable of. He showed it in week 1, and then they completely went away from it. The defense has shown flashes, but they're exhausted come the fourth quarter because they're being outgained. The time of possession, there's like a 14-minute gap. And, Bill always preached that we have to play complementary football. There was nothing complimentary about these first 4 weeks. So if they can just get back to the basics, and the Jags are very beatable. They have a much better roster than the Jags. The Colts have kind of come out a little flat to me, lower than what I expected them to be. The Titans are killing it. And Ryan Tannehill looks like a completely different quarterback this year, even than he did last year. His numbers, he looks better than Deshaun, but then again, Deshaun, he's also he's only been sacked 3 times, whereas Deshaun's been sacked like 10 times this week. So I think they can sneak in, maybe as a wild card, but I really do think they can, but I'm not expecting a deep run into the playoffs if they do.
Yeah. Ruben, what are your thoughts? Playoffs?
So or
is it just more of a let's just see what we got?
So if O'Brien is still the head coach today, I will say the season's over. But since he's gone, yes, there is still. I mean, this season is very much alive for the Houston Texans. Storm said it himself. It does light a fire under you. So we're just gonna see, what the Houston Texans have. Do they have any pride, any grit to salvage this season? I mean, they did something good today. They got rid of a man who was holding them back. And now it's all systems go. So hopefully they get into the playoffs. Like Storm said, I don't really see him making a deep playoff push, but I just want to see some fight out of this Houston Texans.
Yep. Giovanni, your thoughts?
Yeah, I see the schedule, and it doesn't look so like rigorous or like it doesn't look so difficult, and I believe they'll sneak in. But there could be a possibility, maybe, just maybe, that they win the division, but they can't lose no more than 2 more games.
Yeah, so I think, looking at the schedule, Jags should be a win. I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum with the Titans. Their defense doesn't scare me in any form or fashion, and I believe that Deshaun is so much better than Tannehill that I honestly am not too worried about them. Only team that worries me in our division is the Colts, and that's because their defense. Packers, that's going to be a tough one. That's likely a loss. But then Jags, Browns, Patriots, Lions, Colts, Bears, Colts, Bengals, Titans. I mean, there's a chance. We did it with 0-3, and there's an additional playoff team added this season. So I think it's possible. I think there's going to be they're going to have to play extremely well. But to me, the only reason I think it's possible is because we have Deshaun Watson. I think everybody can say that they saw his body language the last 4 weeks. It has not been the same Deshaun Watson that we're expected to see. I talked to 2 players today, Pat, and they pretty much said the same thing, that he was over his head, that they love the guy. They love the guy. They love the guy. But they think that he just took on a little too much, and he doesn't have the ability to be able to maneuver and make the decisions needed. And they're right. We saw it through, week 4. So, I think the team can do it. Deshaun Watson's the only reason I believe that we have a chance at making anything. And I think that's enough of a reason. Like, Deshaun has showed us millions of times so far in the last 4 years that you can't count him out. He looked off on Sunday in a way that we've never seen before. I mean, the first 4 series, he missed like 4 throws that were just bad throws in the dirt. So I think this team has the ability to do it, and this is the year to do it. I like I said, the Titans don't scare me, and they have a tough schedule too. The Colts are the only team that I have any hesitancy around, and that's because Matt Eberflus is a amazing defensive coordinator. So yeah. All right. Well, that's gonna be it, Mr. 713. Thank you. I can't believe you. I can't believe that's your actual name now. And I'm still mad at you for not coming to the event, but we'll talk about that offline. It's fine. No, save it. Don't make excuses right now. It's fine. Giovanni, thank you so much for coming on. Mr. 713, why don't you let them know where they can find you?
Yes, well, I have a YouTube channel called 713 Houston Sports. I post almost daily. I've had 2 of these fine gentlemen on, Mr. Patrick Storm and Mr. Young Ari Gold. Looking forward to more stuff. Mr. Giovanni, hopefully I can have you on as well. But, catch me on there, Mr. 713. Ace down till I drown.
Okay. Giovanni, any final words?
I already follow you, Mr. 713 already. And hopefully we get shout out to Jordan. Hopefully we get to see the GOAT play more now.
Yeah, absolutely. Patrick, send us off.
So, man, I don't know. Follow me at Patrick Storm at Patrick Storm TU. I'll try to keep you guys updated as much as possible on everything that's going on. I mean, my phone hasn't stopped for the past 3 hours, so I appreciate everybody that's been with us. It's only going to get better, and we're here for the long haul.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not going to find another podcast that is here through everything. 0-4. 6-12 or whatever the fucking record was. We're here week in, week out. The other one, well, yeah, we did that year. It was a special year. And it was Bill O'Brien played 18 games. That's why he's gone now. He was at a YMCA. All the rest of the podcasts come, they go. They don't stick around. They can't because they're just not us. I am Young Ari Gold signing off for Texans Unfiltered. We'll be live tomorrow with the normal crew at 9 p.m. Central Time. Everybody, thank you. Mr. 713, I appreciate you, and we will talk soon.